The decade of the 60s in America began as a time of innocence and hope, but turned into a period of anger and violence. Assassinations, protests, and riots shook the country.
You know, it was the tumultuous 60s.
Hectic, chaotic, not knowing what the future held for you.
Blacks were finally beginning to recognize their importance and their value.
I would consider it a transformational point in our country's history.
Against that backdrop, the University of Wyoming had become a college football powerhouse with a national reputation.
They'd been to the Sugar Bowl, been to the Sun Bowl.
We had moved up to number 12 in the country.
My goodness, we were stacked with players.
We were good as a team, and we were good as individual players.
When the whistle blew, we always thought we could win.
This was a team that was built to take it all in 1969.
The Cowboys were undefeated and facing their rival, Brigham Young University, the upcoming week.
BYU was a pretty good program. However, there was a movement across the country that against the Latter-day Saints.
Because of what their philosophy was about, blacks and the priesthood.
The Black Student Alliance came about saying, hey, would we be part of that protest? And we basically said we weren't going to protest because what they believed or didn't believe, but we had other reasons the Black 14 wanted to protest, how they treated some of our black athletes when they played in Provo a year or so prior to that, by cheap shotting them, calling them the N-word.
The older players would tell you what would happen and what's going to happen with BYU because it was never addressed. And we knew it was a situation.
And so we were trying to set something up in terms of a protest.
Feeling disillusioned by the discrimination and racism they were experiencing, 14 of the players from the Wyoming team approached their coach with a request.
Well, the plan was to ask him for permission to wear black armbands during the BYU game.
We were going to share with him what had happened and why we feel that there ought to be some physical display.
So as a group, we said, well, we're going to try to make sure that we do this in the correct way. And I think we did.
And it had already been decided that if he objected and didn't want us to do this, we were going to simply play the game.
And so we're going to ask, okay, what will you agree to in way of protest? But we never got a chance to ask that question.
I believe it was Joe Williams, I'm not sure, one of the captains, that said, Coach, we came here today he was going to never finish the sentence. That's when the coach started berating us and told us we were all automatically off this football team. We were no longer Wyoming Cowboys.
The Black 14, as they came to be known, were banished from their team.
Where's the dialogue here? There was none.
People think we went in there and refused the game, to play the game, if we couldn't protest. That was not the case at all.
I was very angry and was angry for a long time.
Some transferred away, some left the school, some never received their degree. The lives of the Black 14 were changed forever.
I was one of the players that remained at the university because I had nowhere to go.
We were considered Black Power advocates, part of the Black Panther Party, and all of it was a lie. We were disparaged all around the country.
Some guys went to Canadian League, some went back on the team. Some didn't go back to school.
There was never anybody, I think, that took ownership of, hey, we should do something to honor these men. And I just felt like it was my job to do that. The University of Wyoming appreciates you, and thank you for being leaders.
I was quite emotional receiving that jacket. We had a written and a verbal apology, but that was an apology that we are now Cowboys again.
The event led to the Black 14 forming an LLC dedicated to giving back. The mission of the Black 14 Philanthropy Group is to educate, feed, and support underserved communities by providing food to needy families and educational scholarships to student athletes.
It was a horrible event that went on in 1969, but we flipped the script. We've turned a tragedy into philanthropy.
Most of the brothers knew that all hate will do is bringing you down?
These men, including my dad, have lived extraordinarily productive and great lives. This did not break them.
Each of us had that sense of philanthropy within us, and that sense of, and as we say, old school giving back.
We're still gonna continue to survive and thrive the way we can to make our country a better country.
Despite the negative impact their courageous act in 1969 had on their lives, the Black 14 today stand as an inspiration for their compassion, their dignity, and commitment to making the world a better place.
I feel like it's going to inspire other people. We turned a negative into a positive. You know, it's taken a long time for the healing to happen, and something bad happened. Well, guess what? Something really great is coming out of it.